Hey, welcome friends. It's Mark Schultz here. And today we continue our conversation in blockchain and aviation. Hey, I'm Mark Schultz with DigitalAircraft, and we have this series that we're doing right now. It's an 8-week series, 24 parts, where we're focusing on blockchain and aviation. And you know that I'm passionate about digital transformation and I'm passionate about aviation. And as we explore this topic of blockchain and aviation, I'm bringing special guests in where we're talking about different subjects that I know you're interested in hearing about. And today we talk about customer service and hospitality, and we're going to tie it together with blockchain and talk about how loyalty and those things come together in aviation and how blockchain is going to help us to increase our customer service and our loyalty and our branding in our airlines and operations. Hey, listen, you are not going to want to miss this. I have a special guest with us today from Emirates, and let's go ahead and just bring him in, and I'll introduce him to you. Hey, Allah, how are you today?
Hi, very good evening. How's everything?
We're doing good. Hey, tell everybody watching today where you're watching from or where you're actually coming from.
Yeah, I'm actually living in Dubai now.
Very good. Yeah. And you know what's exciting about digital and about digital transformation is that it's enabled us to do things like this. I'm here in the state of Florida and you're in Dubai, and we're having a conversation today with people all around the world. Isn't that exciting?
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, with the future is hiding, this is just the beginning.
It's fantastic. It's great. Yeah. So listen, before we get started, I know you guys are all going to be really excited to hear about details from him. I'm going to let him tell us who he is and what he does. And then I'm going to ask those of you out there to tell us where you're watching from. So get ready to put your comments in there because we'd like to know where you're watching from. So Allah, just to get us kicked off here, can you tell everybody who you are and what do you do at Emirates?
Absolutely. My name is Ala Salha. I'm just I do work with Emirates Airline. I'm part of the in-flight service department. I'm actually a purser and an in-flight manager. At the same time, I do as well facilitate learning. That means I do bring into new crew where I do facilitate for them learning for hospitality, delivering the service, and so on. So part of the hospitality team for Emirates Airlines.
Very good. So you'll have good insight. Hey, before we go over and speak to our viewers out there today, I'll just say that, you know, I've flown on Emirates many, many times. I used to live in Seattle, and I took their Seattle to Dubai flight. It's 14 and a half hours. And, you know, 1 year I actually took that. I made 20 trips. Yeah, so I made like 40 flights that year on that aircraft. And most of them were in business or first class. And I'm very excited to talk to you about it because I don't think I've ever been on another airline that's provided such great service and accommodations. And so it's exciting to be able to have a conversation with you about, you know, Emirates, the airline.
Well, thank you very much for the comments. They're really flattering. You did 40 flights. That's almost like, most probably you did the Seattle more than I flew that sector specifically.
I flew every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I flew a flight. I'd fly to Dubai and then I'd stay for 2 weeks and then I'd come home. And so in 1 year I did that 20 times. So that'd be 40 flights. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. And thank you very much for the comments about business and first class.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So listen, hey, I always like to recognize the people that are watching out there. And so I know we have a lot of people watching. We do every week. And I want to ask you if you would please share this stream because it really helps get the word out. Listen, I'm passionate about digital transformation and I'm bringing people in who are common, you know, souls on this. And we all like digital and we like, you know, things like blockchain and aviation. You can see from the people that I bring on that we do. And so please share this stream with people so that we can get the word out. And second of all, I always like to know who's watching and where you're watching from. So could you put a comment down in the comment box down there that just says where you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out. And while you're doing that, remember, we're going to have the opportunity to ask questions today during the broadcast. So if you have questions, you can also drop those into the comment box. So I'd love to hear from you and where you're coming from. So while people are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get right into the conversation here, Allah. And I know people are always interested in knowing just a little bit about your background. So can you tell us what got you into what you're doing and what brought you to the place where this word blockchain came out of your mouth?
Yeah, well, it all started, I have to say, like my history, I've always been to the hospitality industry since I was 14 years old. And working in hotels, and then after that in aviation. And then in 2019, I've got introduced into blockchain. And I'm like, this technology is going to be doing some magnificent things for businesses. But it was all from a perspective where it was just looking into what potential it has. But when I really dove deep into the potential of this technology was actually when the NFTs started showing a real potential in the market. And that's when I actually started linking into the technology that's on hand, which is a blockchain, and the potential of NFTs, how it can reflect customers' journey, completing hospitality. It's just like working hand in hand together to create those signature moments that customer will just keep with them at all time.
Excellent. Well, that's perfect. Well, we're definitely going to be talking about, customer service and how digital, plays into that with blockchain and NFTs, and we'll definitely be digging into that deeper. But it's always exciting to hear about people's journeys, in aviation and in digital, because it really is in alignment with myself. Hey, listen, I like to recognize people when they're watching. We have some repeat followers here, and Denny's, he's coming to us from Germany. I think if I remember correctly from one of the last broadcasts, I think he's in Hanover. Welcome. Glad to have you with us. We have Quinn, who's joined us from New York today. Quinn, thanks for joining. I had a nice conversation with Quinn the other day. He's actually with a company that does blockchain application development. And so it's great to have people online who have that background and experience as well. And then I have one of my business partners here from DigitalAircraft, and that's Larry. And we have Larry Little here with us. He's joined us. Larry, great to have you watching. Have some new customers that reached out to me today that we have to have a conversation about. So it's good. So anyway, hey, listen, I know people want to hear about the things that you're doing. And I wanted to start out by just saying that Ala is an employee of Emirates. But I just wanted to quickly to say that he's acting independently here today, and we've been having this conversation about his thoughts and his ideas about blockchain. And so he's not representing, Emirates officially. And so I just want to say that his opinions and the things he says are not Emirates' opinions, but certainly we want someone from the industry who has great insight into that. And so I appreciate you, coming forward and sharing, some thoughts with us. So that's great. Hey, listen, before we jump into that, I just wanted to recognize a couple more people. So maybe you could put up a couple of the other comments that we had down there. We have Rena, who has been a regular follower of our blockchain series, and she's up in Toronto. Thanks for joining again, Rena. I know you have some background in that area and you're studying it too. And we have Luis Santos, who was on my very first launch broadcast. He was on episode 1, and he's in Portugal, and he is going to be on the program later in the season, where we're going to talk about their application that they have. They have an application called Earhart, named after a famous female aviator, Amelia Earhart, and it's a blockchain application. And so we have a lot of really interesting things coming up that I know you guys are going to continue to be interested in. So keep following. But hey, listen, let's get to the topic at hand today. I'd like to ask you some things. Is that, what are some of the key things that are happening in the industry today that you see, actively involved in the industry and aviation industry that have the potential to be part of the blockchain, industry or blockchain development? What are some of the business problems and challenges you see?
The way I look into things is that for blockchain, for it to get adapted, it has to start from your internal customers. So the first option that I see where you can implement blockchain and NFTs is in your learning environment. And that's by just introducing an NFT identity. An identity is a simple thing where it could be physical, but at the same time where you can have the face and your fingerprint in it. But then when you have a one-size-fits-all learning, that's when the real NFT part comes in. Because if you're having an identity NFT and add on top of it credentials where your learners can come into place to accumulate more kudos, I'd say, where they would like to enhance what they're missing, and thus achieving a whole purpose of becoming a proper hospitality potential in the future.
So let me ask you a question. Is it with the current systems that we have today, all right, we have systems which keep track of skills and qualifications and things like that. Why would we need to make a change? How could an NFT or the blockchain actually provide enhancement or greater capability?
Okay. How can it create a great capability is that for the sole purpose is that you do have ownership. And then you can add on top of that utility. Let's say you have any kind of recommendation. You need to check first of all if it's verified, if it's authentic. So NFT can provide you the authenticity of that credentials added to your identity. And on top of that, it's a sensitive information that's stored in a safe place, and you need data to store this information. Thus, the blockchain is the perfect place where you can store all this information with the least cost possible.
Okay, so yeah, I think many times, and I like to keep pointing this out, is that many times people think of the blockchain as a completely public, entity. Okay, so it's available to anybody and everything at any time. All right, so in my mind, you just said something that's a bit in contrast to that. You said it's sensitive, private information, and we should put it on the blockchain. Help me sort out why you can put sensitive, private information on a blockchain.
Just for the sole purpose that's actually it's secure and it's easy to share. See, the thing is that like when you provide any kind of information to any third entity, you lost that information. You don't own it anymore. But when it is on a ledger or in a place where it's a digital asset in your own pocket, that's ownership.
Okay.
That's
yeah. So let's explore that just for a second. Is that you said that you could attach that information to an NFT. And again, I know we've said these things over and over for the last couple of weeks, but I just like to continue to say it because we have people that have many different levels of understanding of blockchain. And I'm really sympathetic to that because I had a really long journey in trying to understand blockchain. I even called up a friend one time and said, would you explain an NFT to me? I don't get it. All right. And so that was a couple of years ago. But what I want to do is I just want to say, first of all, that an NFT is a non-fungible token. And it's basically a digital certificate or a digital, token is what it is, a digital asset, which we can use for different purposes. We can use it for things like images. We can use it for things like attaching, skills and qualifications to. We can use it for, utility purposes. But so let's talk a bit about NFTs. You brought up the idea of attaching these things to an NFT. Why would you attach these things to a non-fungible token, and how would that kind of work a little bit?
See, the thing is that like NFTs, it's all about, it represents a real world object and it's actually moved into the blockchain. The reason why you want to put it in an NFT is just for the sole purpose that it's easy for you to actually transact and send it. And it's easy for you to authenticate, to have it authentic. The authenticity part is really important because you don't want to have any fraudulent documents floating around used by employees or used by organization, where you can actually have everything authentic on the blockchain. So that's the main reason why you can use the blockchain for. It's mainly authenticity is the biggest. And then after that, whenever you add authenticity and other kind of utility for the NFT, it's no longer art. It's actually, it can be used for so many things. Let's imagine you actually are in a training vicinity, but not in real life, in a virtual life. And then your NFT is you are a professional in aviation, but your whole dream was to be an artist. So actually an NFT in that space will give you a permission to go and learn art, which will cost companies nothing. But what will you gain from it is actually you expanded your horizon of learning to a whole new dimension and became someone that you've always wished to be. And this is passion.
That's really interesting because it allows us to be able to leverage different aspects of our skills and abilities. Perfect. Yep. Perfect. So, hey, we had a couple of comments that I just wanted to throw up on the screen there. There was a few thoughts that Denny's had there about SCM and skills, and I wanted to see what your thoughts are on it. He had two comments that he made. If we could put those up on the screen there. He actually is asking about whether some of these things can be used or not. There's the first one. So what are your thoughts about that? He says, skills or passports. What do you think about that?
I have to say, I love the word skills, and I even love more the word passports, because actually you have a physical identity, which is a passport and a fingerprint, and then you have skills. And we have lived in this time where you have play to earn, move to earn. But I'm really looking forward to see the chance to have perform to earn and earn skill, or skill to earn. You can actually develop your skills, adding more value to who you really are. That's benefiting the organization that you're working for.
And it stays attached to you, I guess. And so I guess in essence, it becomes a resume. It becomes a CV, is what it becomes.
Absolutely. And it's getting adopted in a lot of universities. but it has not been adopted yet in a training environment where companies can benefit from them. But educational systems are starting to go for a blockchain for the sole purpose is that, first of all, authenticity. The second thing is the space. Every single data stored by universities, the consumers are the one who are paying the charge. And this cost is actually moved down to the consumers.
Yeah, yeah, very good, very good. Hey, listen, we have another comment from a future guest of ours, Artur's. If you could just put that up real quick. Interestingly, he says he loves the idea behind ID as a token, and he says it would be more of like a soul-bound token for security reasons. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
I'll be honest. The soulbound tokens. This is a whole new revolutionary concept that came out from Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, recently. What I would say is that it's absolutely possible to be a soulbound token, but first of all, for you to revolutionize anything, you need a small stepping stone. And what we have on hand now is NFT, and NFT does provide us with the opportunity of trial and error, and thus progress and move to blockchain 3.0. Where I could see social bound tokens replacing an NFT, especially when it comes to an identity.
Yeah. You know, for those of you that want to learn more about NFTs and things, let me just point out that Artur's is actually our guest on Friday. So just 2 days from now. And he's just to your north there. He's at Air Baltic in Latvia. And we're looking forward to having him come because he's going to talk about what Air Baltic is doing with NFTs and with some of the other assets that they use. So that's going to be an exciting conversation on Friday. So, hey, let's move to another component of that. As far as NFTs are concerned, you and I have had a bit of a conversation about the ways that they could potentially be used, or that they are being used, or they could be used in aviation operation. And you mentioned, training. And you mentioned skills and qualifications being attached to it, IDs. How about other potential applications of NFTs?
Absolutely. So we did speak about our internal customer, which is actually the trainers and the employees that are coming. Now I would like to take a step and go to the real customers, where whenever you have it on the flight. The beautiful or the potential of NFTs is that it can bring a static object into life. And you do have a lot of the product that are on board the airplane, and they're actually static. The only thing that actually moves is just the TV. But if you do use NFT smartly and have some of your product tell a story by attaching any kind of, a chip, you can actually have a lot of memories created that are owned and attached to those people's stories.
You know, you gave me an example in some of our earlier conversations how it might be able to be used. Can you drive it down one level deeper? Because sometimes when we're talking about abstract concepts, you know, it's a little bit difficult to grasp, but drive it down one level deeper and give us like an example of where that might be accomplished.
Amazing. You did a Seattle flight, and you was offered one of an exclusive wine that you don't find it in the market anywhere, as it's only produced for a certain entity. Now, wouldn't it be pretty when that wine is presented to you, you can scan the brand. And in this, when you scan the brand itself is an NFT. There's a chip on the brand as an NFT. And your phone will read it, and it's translated on your phone as an images or a story of 30 seconds, very similar to the social media aspects, that tells you the history of that wine, how is it produced, where did it go, and then you will actually enter a loyalty club to that wine since you were one of the people who did enjoy it on 40,000 feet.
That's really interesting.
Yes, that wine just came to life. It's a bottle. But when you add to it the proper, attachment, the proper technology, you bring it to life. And then imagine that memory is on your phone. No social media can deprive you from having it. You can put it on your screen, you can put it on your frame, and it will play, and it will complete the whole journey that you did for the flight.
Yeah, you know, let me just add to that is that just to give it some, personal flavor and color is I traveled so much on Emirates, all right? And one of the things that they pride themselves with is, of course, providing the highest possible customer experience, okay? And all of the airlines are looking for how do we enhance that customer experience, to make it better, for the passenger. And because they want that loyalty, they want that person to come back and fly, on that airline again. And what I must say is that I kept flying on Emirates. Well, first of all, it was a convenient flight to go direct from Seattle to Dubai, but also the experience was, was superb. Okay. There's other airlines I could have flown on, and I could have changed airplanes, and they were not the same kind of seats, or they didn't have the same kind of food. And so you ask yourself, is it really worth the cost? Well, it depends upon what you're doing. I just want to describe something to you real quick, and then I want you to respond, to me. Is that the reason that I took this flight is this flight would leave around 5 or 5:30 in the evening in Seattle. They would serve some dinner, and then I would sleep on the flight, for maybe 6 or 8 hours, and then I'd wake up and they'd serve you some breakfast, and then you'd arrive, in the evening, and then I'd have a couple of hours, and then I would, sleep again, and I would get up in the morning immediately and go to work. I have many friends who tell me that, when I travel 14 hours around the world, I have jet lag and I can't work for a day or two. Well, what you've just done is you've just provided me with the ability to be able to arrive refreshed and to have had a positive experience and to be able to immediately begin to work. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's almost like I just drove an hour to work. Okay. It's almost as easy as that. I mean, what do you think about that?
What I think is that I love your experience, and thank you very much for that. But what I would like to add is that was perfect for you. But in 10 years' time, with the generational change, technology will be their comfort. And you need to cater to the customers that are coming. The wealth is not going to stay where it is. It's moving, it's shifting. You need to start plan for the next 5-10 years. What is comfort? And the way it's going, technology is comfort. That's why the NFT concept and the blockchain and the technology, as part of your comfort, it might take the tool of sleep. It might take the tool of a good meal. But you need to actually cater for the people who's going to be enjoying it. And it's a futuristic approach. As for the timing, I have to say that the whole concept that you have in aviation, you did not get the jet lag feeling just for the sole purpose is that the airplane itself, it's built in a way where the lighting system does mimic a natural light phenomenon. Thus, your body and your brain will receive sensors through the lights that we project that reduces your jet lag. And it's part of a genius product that's actually very innovative in the industry.
I just think the technology and those things are very, very innovative. And you bring up a really good point is that, all the airlines are seeking for how do we get that customer? Okay. And just one more commentary is that, I am a frequent flyer of another airline right now because I'm not flying back and forth, to Dubai as much right now. And it's very difficult for me to change and go to another airline because I've established this loyalty and this comfort and this recognition. And so when you're providing those extra things, to the passengers, you provide that experience, which makes them want to come back. It really, really, really does.
Absolutely. And NFT, as mentioned before, it can be used for tickets. It can be used for loyalty. It can be used for any kind of purpose whenever you want to use it for.
Yeah. Now we had a question down here, which I'd like to maybe throw up on the screen. It's from Mohammed. It's regarding NFTs being used as travel passports. What are your thoughts about NFTs potentially being used in conjunction with passports or identities? What are your thoughts with respect to that?
I would say that it's an absolutely beautiful vision, but we have to understand that we do have regulations. We might have a lot of opportunities where blockchain will be integrated under the service to serve as a back player for passports. But as for it to become a big thing where government can implement it, it needs adoption. It's going to happen, but it just takes time.
It'll take a lot of time, because I've traveled, I've traveled that year. I traveled 20 flights to Dubai. I think I flew 480,000 miles that year. Okay. And so there was many countries and cities involved, and every, port of entry, every immigration, had a different process. I mean, I had a fast pass, in Hong Kong and in Singapore and in, the UAE. And so, I see what you're saying is that to get common adoption between countries is going to be actually quite difficult. But let me ask you this, is that how do we leverage the blockchain or what are the advantages to using blockchain when we have so many different entities involved in potentially accessing it?
When there's so many people accessing the blockchain, how can you leverage that? See, the thing is that, like, now, if you would like to communicate with anyone, you need to do so many applications. You have so many data stored in different hardwares or in different softwares, and then you have to go to so many clicks just to reach that information. But when it becomes an NFT, it's just only one click away. Every single thing is at the same place. You don't have to navigate. You just enjoy, and it makes your life easier. And that's the beauty, and that's the benefit of having everything on hand when needed.
I agree. So let me ask you this, is that because you have such a broad exposure to the aviation industry today, are there specific solutions that you see being implemented today that are quite interesting? I mean, what do you see happening out there in the industry today?
Well, thank you very much for the question. This brings me to a looming recession that everybody's talking about. One of the things where tokenizing assets in an NFT, in a utility NFT, might become a safe haven for big companies to preserve their capital. And let me elaborate more. Let's say you're actually a computer company and the recession hit hard, and you do have employees that they're going to be leaving and they're going to be having their end of service, and thus you're losing cash flow. However, if you do create, as part of their end of service or as part of their pension, 25% of the end of pension is a 5-year-old NFT where they get yield on it by just holding it, and then I'll give you back the 25% after 5 years. You preserved cash. You assisted an employee that was loyal to you for so many years by generating even $1 a day. You create loyalty. You do promote, and people will talk. And still till now, that's the best marketing. And after 5 years, you're good. You just took a loan with no interest. And it's voluntary. You can just ask for it. Everybody likes to have dividends, and everybody would like to have a passive income. And this is a real NFT with a utility.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of opportunities coming forward. And I think one of the things as I keep telling everybody this, is that we need to understand the technology, and we need to understand that, well, listen, first of all, most of you watching out there understand the business problems and challenges in your business. You see them every day, okay? And many times we don't understand maybe how to connect that with technology or with solutions and how that might be able to help or improve our world. And so the whole reason that I'm doing this series is to help those of you out there, to get new ideas and to innovate and to understand the business cases and to see some of the companies that are actually doing this, so that we can implement these kind of efficiencies and enhancements in the aviation industry in order to be able to create a more operationally efficient, situation. Is that, today, Ala, I'm sure that it's like this all over Europe. It's like this in the Middle East. In the US today, we have a tremendous problem with delays and cancellations, and we have a problem with security, and so you look all around you, and there's places that we can create efficiency. And I see digital playing a major role in not just improving the efficiency a little bit, but just transforming the efficiency and making it much, much faster. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. See, the thing whenever it comes is that blockchain is an efficient technology. It will provide you accessibility, transparency, speed when needed for some certain blockchains, and you do have as well the opportunity to have fractional ownership. And whenever you have all this combined at the same place, you actually have a winning recipe. So you will have in the future seeing so many security aspects and so many things that are actually built on the blockchain just to facilitate a journey.
Yeah, and so for those of you that might be thinking to yourself, I don't know. I don't know how fast it could really happen or implement. I want to use one more example, of something that has happened over time. Okay. Is that, let me give you this example. We've all stood in long security lines trying to clear, customs or clear immigrations, when we arrive, at a destination. All right. We have the long snaking lines that go all the way out into the parking lot. And then we look over to the right and we see this gate over here where people are walking up and they're just flashing an RF card and they're zipping right through. And we're saying to ourselves, that's not fair. They get to go right through. All right. Well, that to me is a good example of how technology, when implemented, can enhance things dramatically. You can go from 100 people in line to nobody in line because people can show their ID or show their digital, they could eventually in the future show their NFT or their, somehow, and they could rapidly move through security, in ways that are so much faster than what we ever could before. And so to me, that kind of implementation of technology shows me how we can make those changes. We just have to understand it and work with implementing it in order to be able to create those kind of transformations with blockchain technology.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you, go ahead, please.
No, and that's what you said is absolutely correct. And that's the future that we're going to. But I did mention about tokenization, which is tokenizing of an asset. And you did mention that a security gate, people passing through it. Let's say you're the owner of that security gate. And if you actually have that security gate tokenized, and every single person will hold a fraction of that token, showing an ownership who participated in you starting this business, get a cent because they're holding that NFT. This is a blockchain technology where you're actually helping businesses to grow or even businesses to start. And tokenizing assets is already something that's happening in real estate, it's happening in sports, it's happening in entertainment, and it's just a matter of time. Every single thing starts with real estate, sports, and entertainment, and then everyone else starts adapting it.
Yeah. At one point in time in the future of this broadcast, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper on NFTs. But let me just tell for those of you that are watching, if you don't know and understand this, is that an NFT, for example, a token, when you mint it, first of all, the process of creating one, we've created new words. And one of the words is minting. So minting only means like if you went to the US Mint and you created a coin, it's actually minting of an NFT. It's creating of it. Okay. And in the process of creating it, you have the possibility of assigning certain values to it. You can, for example, you can assign a percentage of that when it transfers, which goes to the creator. You can assign a percentage of the value or transaction to someone who essentially gets commissions from it. And so the point is that it's not just maybe the holder of that NFT, which retains value. It can go all the way back to the person that originally created that. Now, I don't want to get into details on that now because there's a whole bunch of questions that are going to come up. But what you're saying right now and telling people is that you can make money off of an NFT as a business. Well, the reality is there's new ways with this technology to be able to recognize creators and holders and people that transfer it and the people that get the utility and they transfer it to a new person. There's so many possibilities that it's tremendous on what we can do with NFTs.
Absolutely, and you already see it in gaming. If you're actually a game creator, and let's say, for example, if anybody who played Mario, the simple Mario, if you created Mario, and 10,000 people after you used that, and Mario was an NFT, and those 10,000 people played that game and used your character, you'll be getting yield. You'll be getting rewarded because you're the real creator. And this is an NFT that shows that this is your authentic work. And this is an NFT that actually have a utility and it's creating yield.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Very exciting. Hey, listen, let me ask you this, is that I get excited talking about digital and blockchain and aviation. Those are some of my passions. I have some others, but those are some of them. And I just wanted to ask you, is that what gets you excited about the future of digital or blockchain in aviation?
The one thing that really gets me excited about blockchain and aviation is that it will make the whole journey seamless. And whenever you say seamless, I would attach it to priceless. You do have across the customer journey from whenever he actually comes into the car all the way to the airport, you have a lot of checkpoints where you have to be stopped and things has to be interrupted. But if you have a blockchain where it can just make this whole, you putting your hands in your pocket to pay money, you putting your hands in your pocket to get your passport, you putting your hands in your pocket to do anything, just have everything on hand. That makes it seamless. And this is the real potential of blockchain, making things seamless, easy, affordable, quick, and just you enjoy.
Yeah, there isn't a single one of us that hasn't been frustrated by things that didn't go right in a journey, and so, I agree. If we can find ways to make our journeys more pleasurable and more satisfying, and it will become priceless. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming on today. And before we sign off, I just want to mention again is that we're doing this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 1600 GMT. And Friday, we have another special guest who was here earlier, had made a comment, and he's from Air Baltic, and he's going to be talking very specifically about NFTs at Air Baltic and how they're using them and how they're providing utility. And he's also going to talk a lot about where they're going with their loyalty programs. Yeah. And so it's going to be an exciting conversation. So all of you out there today, I want to invite you because I think you're going to find that interesting as well. And Ala, I appreciate, your commitment to Emirates and your commitment to your passions of providing a good experience, with your history in customer service and hospitality and aviation and being a purser. What a great combination for, giving people a pleasurable experience, in the industry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me. It was really a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And I'll be following up your show, so I'll make sure to show up for Air Baltic NFT
Very
project.
good.
Really interesting.
Very good. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you on Friday. And I sign off the way I always do. Fair winds and following seas, and have a great day. And we'll see you on our next broadcast. Bye for now.